Hey guys, welcome back. In this next episode, we're going to have a nice sit-down dinner with Dr. Esselstyn, his wife Ann Esselstyn, and his daughter Jane, who's going to come by, and she's going to bring her husband too in the episode. You'll see we had a nice, delicious dinner. For the entree, we had that delicious kale sandwich that we made earlier with Ann Esselstyn. We had a nice lentil soup, and then for dessert, we had this frozen banana kind of parfait type deal that Anna made using a special machine where she brought the banana in there and it turned into a dessert. It was pretty cool. So in this episode, we're going to talk about, some of the topics we want to go over: whole food, plant-based living, connections that I have, the invention that I've come up with, the arterial IQ, the watch that you can buy that'll help you determine how much plaque you have in your arteries. I'm still testing it, but I think it's a great invention for the world. And I hope you guys enjoy this really fun dinner we had. It's a great conversation. Looking forward to seeing you at the end of the video. Here's my angle here. You guys follow me. So when I gave a speech in front of Congress last year, in front of Van Hall, it's on YouTube, I was telling him, I gave a very big speech about my stuff, and then I told him there's two things I want to accomplish in my life before I'm dead. First one is I want to start this innovative lab at the NIH with a horror story with some of my friends. We're doing like mRNA technology, etc. The second thing is to do more advanced medical research, like I was telling you, which I've already published 3 papers. I'm going to do my 4th one on heart disease, and the 5th one is probably going to be involved with plant-based diet. Since I have the data, you saw my lipid results going down and going back up after I started eating steak. That's pretty proven data. That's risky that I did that, but doing it for science. I'm doing it for science. Anyways, I'm doing it for science. So I have the data and I have everything there. So I published this stuff, and I meet with the new director of NIH that Trump elected Jay, who I already met, by the way. Already met him. So the book on networking. So let me just tell you. So my friends were there at the NIH. I'm meeting with them next week. I'm going to start designing the stuff, like new type of devices and etc. But like a lot of these things, it's like, well, but they don't want to do it because there's not enough data. If I just get enough literature, medical papers updated, like 2025, like recently, with me, some of the scientists at NIH, the lipid clinic at Johns Hopkins, maybe someone else that could possibly participate, in addition to the documentary, the Netflix premiere, the Hollywood movie being made about a revolution of plant-based diet. And then eventually the last part would be to get into the White House, which I have access to because I'm interviewing. I was telling you, Brad Bondi, Pam Bondi's brother, who's the Attorney General. And he already asked me, he's like, oh, such an interesting story, heart attack, young man. I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, okay, if you want to talk to RFK? I'm like, yes, I would like to talk to RFK. Get me the meeting and I will talk to him. So yes, I do have the resources. Yes, I have the power, the leverage and stuff. It's just, you're right, I am educating myself on this. I don't even know how to make the food every day. So I think the combination of everything I'm doing, I think will shed light to what you guys are doing. But I'd like to partner with you. I'd like to donate to your foundation. I'd like to invite you to come speak at some of our conferences and whatever else I can do to help. And the cold calling thing, I got a team of like 100 people that can make calls for you. So you don't need to make any calls.
So here's the thing though. Here's the thing. I'm going to put it on the table, and I don't want it to be, I hope it doesn't sound negative because I don't want it to sound negative, but what we know is that there is so much research out there already. I mean, and I think people like you who come along and have a health change, and it can sort of blow your mind. You're like, oh my God, let's just keep more research. The challenge, and maybe because I'm biased because I'm a therapist, so I work every day with people who are trying to quit drugs and alcohol, make lifestyle changes, is that the hang up is the lifestyle transition. It's not, there's so much research out there. We don't need any more research. What we need is someone to make it, and this is kind of the unofficial task of the Esselstyn Foundation, is we're about where the rubber meets the road. Like, Dr. Esselstyn has this amazing, 30 years of research, Neil Barner, Michael Flapper, Ornish, it's all there. But what happens is, it's just like any diet, 90% of diets, as you probably know, fail. Most of it is because people don't understand why they're craving certain foods, the Doug Lisle stuff, right? The behavior change, the evolutionary psychology, all that stuff, if we can encapsulate that and package that in a way that people suddenly realize that even though the easy choice is the meds, and even though the doctor's going to say, oh, I'm just going to write you the script, because I got 10 minutes with you in the office, we've got to figure out a way to package it that it becomes attractive and that all the drugs and all that other stuff don't seem like a good choice. That's the secret, I think, because again, like, we know it works. I mean, Essie alone has, at best on a bad day, anecdotal evidence, on a good day, like tons of, actual published research reviewed. And the problem is, again, like, you can throw all this research at the smartest person on the planet, but if they're not interested personally, it kind of just goes away. It just suddenly becomes too hard. Because it gets at who we are as humans, which is change.
I think that there was a movie that had quite an impact, and maybe it still does, but initially it was Forks Over Knives.
Right.
And we really, we were getting phone calls all over the place, everybody, but no,
gotta keep reinventing the wheel.
that was 2010. That's 14 years ago. And so,
He would get on a plane and he'd be recognized. I mean,
oh yeah.
but today yoga was recognized. Someone was like, did you write that book? I'm like, oh my God, yeah. Like,
So again, it's so much about, taking on human nature. Because as you know, human nature, we're energy conservators by nature. So we want to put forth the least effort to get what. That's just the nature of who we are.
one of his best presentations is called Choice Architecture, like how to make the right choices at choices.
Yeah, it's like behavioral economics,
There was an example where nationally this has happened, and that is Finland. In 1969, there was a province in northern Finland, Karelia, that was the heart attack capital of the world. People were dropping like flies, smoking, eating clotted cream.
Clotted cream is their like national.
Yeah.
It's sort of like poutine up in Canada, right? Like
There was a remarkable young physician from Helsinki. Went up to Karelia, Pekka Puska, went to Karelia, talked to all the community leaders, talked to the population, talked to the dairy industry, had a fight with the dairy industry, stopped smoking. Over the next 30 years, Karelia stopped their heart attack rate by 85%. Then slowly, the rest of Finland took over later on. Over the next 30 years, they decreased theirs by 80%. So and I think Pekka Puska is still alive, but he would be a fascinating person for you to speak with, because it's legendary what they were able to accomplish.
And to go back, it was one more thing you mentioned. I think you were talking about you're calling patients and you said something like someone has poison ivy and then immediately they can see it. And I mentioned to you this earlier, but the reason that people don't understand that heart disease, like my mom, who had it the whole time, stress echo test, this is my idea that I'm thinking about and I want to work on, and I will work on this. But I mentioned it to you earlier, and I don't know if Jake, you can grab my phone. If my phone in there, I want to show you this Whoop watch that I have. You guys know about the Whoop watch, right? You have one?
Whoop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one for a while.
You had one
Yep.
for a while. You see how all this data they have on the Whoop watch, because
Yeah.
I'm an engineer, that shows you all the, your health data, your blood. Right now, my current beats per minute, etc. I got the new one that's going to show your blood pressure. So I think this is the way the world is going. Wearable tech.
Yeah, sure.
My friend Kevin.
Aura ring, whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah, the Aura ring. My friend.
Our
actually
daughter's
said-
roommate works for them.
For
she's like, yeah, she does all these.
Works
You
for
see
One
all the
thing,
data in this thing?
you and I were just talking about a little bit, what would you have for tests? And you said, would it be a CT angiogram,
Yeah.
or would it be a calcium score test?
Mhm.
And that's beginning to get at the point. But then I think I mentioned to you that when we autopsy, 1999, a study that showed when you autopsy young men and young women between the ages of 17 and 34 who've died of accidents, homicide, and suicide. The disease is ubiquitous. So that allows me to tell every time I have an audience, and if I mention that study, I said, well, how many of you in the audience here are over 17?
Yeah.
Because you all have early heart disease. Oh, that really, I think if we can sort of refine that presentation so they know if you can continue to have your bacon, your cheese, and your steak, but you're doing it on top of barbecue.
I agree with the follow-up. There's a little block right there. Shouldn't there be one more
Well, or
showing?
even like to check the lumen, like the space opening. The lumen is the opening. Might be it'll be a little like X-ray vision, but that's
No, I want the
Right.
exact percentage on here saying you're at 12% blockage. That's what I'm in.
He was telling you that if
The only way to do that is the angiogram.
Yeah.
So all these people
No,
you're
not,
calling,
I know, or autopsy.
or an autopsy. So that's like when you're calling cold calling,
bad
saying,
option.
oh, your employees, etc. But if everyone's like, actually, a lot of us are reading right now, we're at 17% blockage.
So engineer you.
That's what I'm doing.
So-
I'm inventing the next device. I'm publicly stating this. I'm inventing the next device
What you did
to show the percentage blockage. Because if my mom was wearing my device, she would know months before, oh my God, I'm at 98% blockage? No, she couldn't get
What do
the angiogram. The cardiologist wouldn't give it to her. 0 symptoms. Most females don't have symptoms. So she's walking around normal. We did a stress test, it's fine. But 98% blockage in your LAD, how come no one figured it out? I should have invented this before, but now I'm gonna invent it. You see what I'm missing? I think where
What kind of technology would be able to
That's what I'm
measure that?
yeah.
Do you have any sense of it? It exists already?
yeah.
Is it almost like a
What would measure? That's why I'm a NASA rocket.
you're so smart.
Well, you can.
Well, let me ask you. Let me
you
seriously.
can have it- Well, what you could do,
What could you measure to
If you-
show that?
you could do an ultrasound of your carotid artery.
Uh-huh.
And if an ultrasound is not invasive, right? It's not, you don't have to have an autopsy. The ultrasound will tell you whether you're carotid, and often there's a relationship. If you've got it in your carotid, you probably got it in your heart.
And you come and you have it below the belt.
How
too.
can you
That's a
get
little
a
brown down
carotid
there.
to your wrist without?
Well, I was thinking of some sort of an ultrasound in your
Yeah.
a micro
Like you go
ultrasound.
to-
probably like you could hold it up to your maybe to
But you know-
something on your wrist. You
I
can hold up to your
think you have ideas already put in your head, I know, but one thing I think would be interesting is what he's saying is that the suppleness of your arteries, be able to respond after you eat Jack in the Box, or give me something that your friends all eat.
Canes,
Canes?
Raising Cane's.
Treatures.
What are canes?
Raising cancer.
Raising
chicken. Fried
Okay,
chicken.
Canes.
I used to eat it also.
I want to know what that is.
It's fried chicken. After you eat KFC or Canes, after you eat that, your blood is so thick. It's like toothpaste for split.
How do you
So-
measure that?
You just
Yeah, how
have
do you measure
you just yeah.
Other than taking it out,
So-
putting it in the central.
But you hear like your blood is like the viscosity sucks right now.
That's interesting. We could add that actually in there. That blood viscosity.
This because of
The other thing is
it's so
is a
thick
measure
and so fatty, and it's laying down plaque as it goes.
that never caught on quite as much is you can measure the change in elasticity as you get older.
Is that the
But that's not much.
It's arterial sclerosis. Yeah, you cannot eat all this stuff.
is that the tourniquet test that way?
No, just
No.
the sclerosis.
So how are you going to measure the artery when people are still alive?
You have a snaky smile. You know something you're not sharing, which we get. And like,
Well, I think I'm chosen to do this. I think there's a reason this everything has happened. I really think it has to be me. I have to do this to save everybody's life. So it's great. So I don't know what else to do.
When you come up with the device,
Yeah.
Already did it.
contact us and we'll help you write the curriculum that's got to be built around it. Because once people have that data, and then they get overwhelmed, they go, oh no, what does this mean?
And now they're going to be plant-based.
they're gonna try to find a pill.
Well,
Well, not unless we market this correctly with the
Right,
right.
we don't want pills. We don't want.
no, but if you
want
build
pills anymore.
But if you
Look
build
at
the curriculum,
bag of pills I brought.
He takes his bag of pills.
But you don't want just spinach either.
I know. I've been eating just spinach actually. Look, you're making my heart rate go up now.
sorry.
It's interesting how I can 24/7 monitor this. I think my watch is off a little bit, but this is it. I seriously think I'm telling you, I'm watching the trends. You got to catch trends early to really catapult their success. But I think wearable tech is a big thing. That Aura ring, that guy from Sweden, I have one too. Everyone's wearing the Whoop watch. I'll probably just wear this forever because how else are you tracking everything? And even when I got sick, it was telling me, it tells you your stress monitor stuff. So they're on the right track. I may or may not partnership with them, but the biggest thing I personally want, and I think I'm going to be able to pull off an event, is just that one last indicator and I really want your dad's opinion of. You asked me earlier, how are you gonna predict? Use that specific term, predict. And as you know, in 2025, there's something a little bit new happening. Revolution, Jake knows, but the biggest thing I think right now is Mr. ChatGPT. A great, excellent tool, the smartest AI in the world, more smarter than any single human being. So in the combination of artificial intelligence, predictive modeling, plus all the traditional tests you take. So you'll be wearing one of the devices we have, either something in partnership with Loop, maybe something for your neck, maybe something you wear, around there. And we still draw your blood. We still check your lipid profile. We still do any other type of stress test. You enter it all into the data, and then you'll see your number, 22% blockage. That's how much blockage.
But you know, in essence, you can almost tell anybody that wears that watch, who's been eating a regular diet, who's over 17, they've got disease. I can't tell you the percent they've got yet, but that.
Percent is what's gonna make them.
For something like this,
Well, no, why would somebody like, I'm happy with my 40% blockage, I'll stop eating this way when I get to be 60% blockage.
But how do you know you're from 40 to 60 without the angiogram? Because you can't get the angiogram unless you convince your doctor to give me it, and he won't give it to you. Unless you say, because that's my argument, unless he wouldn't give me the angiogram stuff. He's like, you don't need all that.
Are you fascinated at all by the disease in the carotid?
Yeah,
That's where the
fascinating.
strokes come.
And he sees happening at all. It's funny, I was getting really bad
Have you had
migraines.
your stroke? Have you had your carotid?
No,
With already having a heart attack, they haven't done the ultrasound of your carotid?
no,
you need blood in
You
your
know,
head.
you don't have any disease in your carotid.
I don't.
You know what's crazy is Dr. Esselstyn's had people contact him with like 80% blockage in one carotid.
I did check the carotid, get ultrasound. But when I go back to my cardiologist tomorrow at 2 p.m. is my follow-up appointment.
You're
By the
asking,
way,
where's the ultrasound of your
I
carotid?
go to the cardiologist. I said, by the way, any way I can get an ultrasound of my carotid? He goes, what do you think? You're smarter than me?
Yeah.
And I am actually smarter than you. So like, that's all soon. And I've said that multiple doctors, and they really don't like talking to me. So it's tough for me to find care. So I have to be very careful and play stupid when I'm talking to people.
Yeah, you can't tell them.
And I'm like, I'm really dumb. Why don't you help me? Can you do the ultrasound for me, please? It's ridiculous how you have to beg.
And you made
Yeah, you've had a brother who had ultrasound before, carotid blockage, so you want to have him checked.
So we have so many stories as you can imagine. Have you interviewed Jim McNamara yet? So he's Justin's patients, but he's got a great story where he went in and said, and his numbers had dropped. He made like his cholesterol dropped. Well, how many points did Jim's cholesterol drop?
Like 100.
100. Like they're in double digits. And he goes into his doctor and the doctor's asking some questions and he says, "Yeah, I'm on this plant-based diet." And he goes, "The only diet I care about is cumin." That's what the doctor said. I mean, he had no interest, even though this guy had literally transformed his health. And the doctor was like, "All we care about is your cumin diet."
Ignorance. I should get the ultrasound of my carotid artery.
Carotid.
I actually think, because I don't know if I'm the only one that's tested this and proved this in such rigorous data, but I showed you the data from the heart attack, the exact LDL and all that stuff, and then a year of this diet, and I felt great. I was going up my stairs fine, and then I cheated. I had a little bit of fish with the sand with my dad, wanted to go to a restaurant. I said, I'll have a little chicken with you, I'll have a little this. And I started eating chips. Those regular chips, those oil, and then I started having problems in my chest and my shoulder hurts.
You know what I've told people when I counsel them? The reason that my program failed, the reason my program succeeds where others will fail, nobody else is as mean as I am.
So
You can't, there's a chapter in my book, moderation kills.
even one single.
When are you going to have this? When are you going to have this device?
Ready to go.
When am I going to invent this thing?
Yeah.
As soon as I leave. As soon as I get out of here. So to be back. I'm really seriously in the middle of doing this.
Or you could be a nurse.
No,
It's
like
like maybe something, but
Yeah, like
your microphone here.
it's just what is your opinion? I really want your opinion. Look, here's respiratory rate, blood oxygen, HRV. It's going to take it's not going to be instant. You have to wear it for like a month, 30 days, and you have to upload your blood test. Use the predictive AI modeling. There's already Clearly is the name of a company that does the advanced AI modeling and angiogram stuff. But all of it combined should tell you, okay, you're at 12% blockage based on all the data. It might not be that accurate, but at least you know you're a little bit blocked, a little bit, 10%. And as you see it going from 10 to 30, you're like, this is insane. And the little pop-up comes at 50%. Like, we suggest you switch to whole food plant-based at this point. If you're getting near, it's like turns red, and your phone is like, you really have to stop. There's nothing in the world that's been invented until now. So
You know what I like is the idea of saying switch, giving them a specific thing to do when that happens.
what's your opinion? Do you think I should do this? Do you think I should invent the thing to show the percentage blockage? Because right now, you saw my angiogram, it showed 20 to 30%, and it showed 100% occlusion. But you have to put a catheter inside me and lie me down in a hospital. Nobody's gonna do that. So there's got to be an invasive way, and not just an ultrasound.
Well, you remember, it's the smaller plaques that are the ones that are the most dangerous.
That's what you think causes the heart attack, 20 to 30%. So, but would you be okay if people were eventually walk around and show the percentage, or would you be like, no?
Well, you've given me about 30 minutes to think about it.
Yes.
Maybe.
Tech is not his thing at 91. Like, it's not his, like, this is your language.
Yeah.
And he can like get on the right show on Hulu, but he's not wearables. It's all new. And I think,
What's your guys' opinion? If I
yes.
have the percentage blockage, because
Yes.
after the angiogram, it shows you, I have my angiogram 20 to 30%. Why can't you just tell me now?
Right.
Yes.
Why not?
It sounds brilliant. And
That's what it has to be. Refinement has to be, because because the mentality of people is such. Oh, 12%. Hell, that's nothing. I can live the way I'm living till I get up around 80%. Then I'll start worrying about it.
yeah,
It's good if it's-
blockages, viscosity, there's so many ways, elasticity. I think also looking at the impact of, like, did you watch Game Changers?
But if you do the
And
correct,
when they ate the meals and their
And they-
directions,
and if they show that the artery going to their brain is 50% blocked, oh, now you've got their.
yeah, or the artery leading to their below the belt, because that might get some guys to pay attention.
Yeah.
And some women.
No one's gonna wear one of those things like they
People
do.
wear all kinds of stuff on their junk.
Well, they-
It's gotta be
they
easy.
have-
It's
they
gotta
have-
be like on your wrist.
Yeah.
It's gotta be something really simple.
The wearable tech, Whoop has that now on your underwear elastic band.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They do have that. They just
What do they have?
on your underwear and your elastic band here. You just take this off, and then the actual sensor, which is right here, and
What did it tell you?
in your bra strap. So that CEO Whoop.
What does it do?
I have a phone call with it next week.
It measures like heart rate variability, pulse, oxygenation,
All the things he's
all the
saying.
things he's talking
All the
about.
categories.
What difference does it do down here than
Well, you
it
can
does
get- you
up
can-
here?
So you don't have it on your wrist,
You can
basically.
get a reading of
You're reading of everything.
in a cave.
But I think this is the future. I think this is the way the world is going, is wearable tech in combination with AI, which did not exist in 1910,
How
1902.
does AI work?
Artificial intelligence.
Yes, you don't know that.
I'm not just explaining.
Well, wait.
That's not what it works.
Heart rate monitor, like Brian would wear this in like a bra strap when he goes for runs. That's a perfect way to just send a little like.
Yeah, but we're just missing the last key indicator.
That's
the percentage blockage. Because
so your technology will get it.
I'm so passionate. I want to know right now what is the percent blockage since my heart attack. And I have to beg my cardiologist, can you just give me another angiogram? I've been plant-based for 2 years. He's like, no, can't give it to you. And I'm like, there's
That's
no way.
probably because of insurance or something.
But if you say like, I will pay for it, then no.
But Essie, I thought blockages don't go away.
The calcium.
I mean,
Calcium.
Calcium is different.
calcium, that's what I meant. Calcium.
That's not blockage.
That's
Soft plaque, hard plaque.
Yeah.
if it's calcified, you're probably going to carry that the rest of it. But as long as it's not being a problem, which is most of the time. I mean, when somebody, for instance, gets a calcium score, 800, or maybe even 1,000, right? They start eating plant-based, they're going to be fine. Those calcified plaque will never be a problem. They're not going to continue to grow, and And the part of the plaque that is made of inflammation, fat, and cholesterol will even probably shrink a little.
My calcium score a year before my heart attack was 0.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, you're so young. You're so
No,
young.
but that's because it wasn't calcified yet.
Yeah.
It's still soft.
But
plaque.
you can still see it with an angiogram or the device that you're going to bed.
See, I'm working on
Now,
it.
you were so young. You didn't have a chance to calcify.
That's probably why I was 0.
Well, right now, it would almost be, you could almost get an idea of your arteries. You know, when you do a calcium score, you're looking directly at the heart, you're looking directly at the artery, and you're directly looking at the calcium that's in the artery plaque. Refine that a little bit more so you can just do it over your heart and find out what the degree of blockage is for that.
Have you heard of a CMIT test?
Oh yeah.
CMIT, what do you think about that?
Well, the CINT is your carotid, right?
Well, what is the? I'm not familiar with that name. That carotid invasive. Is it invasive?
Carotid, let's see.
CMIT.
Carotid animal medial test. That's it. CINT. Carotid animal medial test.
What's animal?
Intermediate
Enema.
sickness.
It is most way of the artery.
It's a non-invasive medical procedure to assess the thickness of the inner layers of your carotid arteries using an ultrasound.
Okay, that's what we
But
want
nobody
you to do.
does that test though. No one does these tests.
That's what they're asking you to do tomorrow.
I'm asking them to do it, and they say we don't have this at our office.
Go to an office where they have it.
You see, if I'm having this problem in Bethesda, I mean, how many people do you think are having the same issue that don't even know? So this is such a big thing I'm doing, and just any way we could work together, not just in this one any capacity, but at your foundation or work with you. Right? I mean, I think this was a very good start to getting to know me and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I will not stop at all until this is done.
I love that. Yeah, I love that you have this. Like, what's the price of? Like, I'm the one who sacrificed for this. Like, what's the
So you think, but really,
The reluctant hero.
the
reluctant hero? The reluctant hero. Welcome.
Right.
Thank you. I feel
The reason that you're so,
Or you-
the reason you're so passionate about this is because you got hit yourself.
Yeah, I'm young, and my mom died in front of me while I was talking to her. Yeah.
Wait,
Oh, really?
she did.
Yeah, well, I was talking to her like this, like I'm looking at you, and you're like blah 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 blah, and then she just dies. No symptoms, no jaw pain, no shoulder pain, nothing. 98% blockage. After I read her autopsy report, I read the report, and I went to the choreographer and I buried her also myself.
Did she die before you did?
Yes, she died. She died 2.5 years ago, and then I had a heart attack 6 months later. I know.
Did she have any?
Sorry.
Did she have any?
0. Right? Every day, FaceTime me on the jogging. She
Was
was,
she overweight?
was not overweight. She's not overweight. It's so weird. I'm telling you, I really think I'm chosen to do this for some reason. That's why I'm not going to stop until I figure
Well, I
this
would
out.
support you on that.
Thank you.
I am so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
It sounds like you were very close with your mom.
She was the closest person to me. I love my dad, but it's not the same
Oh, no.
situation.
Well, they were divorced.
I'll show you.
Was she in Maryland with you?
How old was
Do
she?
you have a picture of her?
59?
Yeah,
I told.
this is my mom. She's like a kid.
Yeah.
She's so young.
Yeah.
She's like a baby.
No, over here.
I'm gonna let me send you the video. I'm gonna show you the video. But that's probably why this is like really passionate about me, because it's so disturbing what I went through. You don't just forget that.
No.
Well,
I'm not gonna
You
forget
were
it.
talking with her? You
Yeah,
talked with her live or on the phone?
I was on the phone. FaceTiming her.
Did she have pain?
No,
Just
no, just instant. LAD, the Widowmaker. It was like 60
I
seconds.
had to see her.
Mine was like a long, I told you, 16 hours I'm in the hospital. And I'm like, take me to the cath lab, take me to the cath lab. Like, no, wait till tomorrow. Like, unbelievable. 20 to 30% damage some of my heart, but my cardiologist said, don't worry, you'll recover. Like, you should have given me the stent when I entered the hospital. And my dad was yelling at him, like, why didn't you give my son the stent? We entered the hospital, but he wasn't available till the next morning. So you can imagine how big of a change I want to make in the medical industry, not just for myself, but for hospitals and for everything. So it's
But
quite
you're different than
You're
most
so
patients.
young.
You're smarter and you have a certain personality that gives you the resources that you can reach out to who can help.
well, that's what I'm hoping for. There you go. Here's my mom hoping. cooking in this kitchen. Perfectly normal.
Yeah.
Perfectly normal. She's making like pancakes or something like that. She's talking about my family stuff and, you know, talk to her all the time. So I think it's the combination of losing my mom in front of me having a heart attack, and then I know.
12 years old and having
I know. And then the rest of my aunts and uncles just die. And I'm like, I think there's something going on here, guys. Is anyone ever look into this?
Don't you have relatives in Pakistan?
Yeah.
Do they also have heart disease?
They all have stents. All of them have stents, bypass surgery stuff, and they won't stop eating lamb curry stuff until they watch my Netflix documentary.
Okay. Right on.
South Asia has a key issue.
And we'll just
Like clarified butter. That's like the basis. I mean, Essie spoke all over India, right? That was basically the issue. Clarified butter.
Yeah, I spent 16 days lecturing in India in 2000. Brilliant.
But now it's palm kernel oil, as you probably know. Like palm kernel oil is basically taking over the globe.
how about Uganda?
Yeah, we partnered with this community health organization in Uganda for a little while, and we did some Zoom calls through the foundation, and that was the big issue. The guy said that everybody just plugs palm kernel oil into everything.
So they're like, when can we eat sweet potatoes and polenta again, like corn? And I'm like, those are great things. And they're like, oh yeah, and mash this root and that root and greens. I'm like, you should eat them. That sounds great. Wait, you guys are all sick with what? And they're like, with diabetes. And this, I'm like, well, how do you?
Types of diabetes.
They're like, well, we make it with red
Global.
palm, like red palm kernel oil. That is your issue because their ancestors always ate this stuff. They didn't eat it with the palm kernel, all this, 92% saturated fat. So we're like, get rid of that, and you guys are fine.
I think it's really the misinformation. Even Jay could talk about this on Instagram when you're scrolling through and you see all these people. I really think if you use the social media correctly, which everyone is on social media, and you empower them with cool stuff, maybe if you get some good TikTok influencer, a really huge YouTube celebrity like Logan Paul or someone really, and then, we start putting propaganda out in the right way of plant-based and just somebody picks it up, I really think I'm going to start this thing with you guys and we could work together. But I also think with the data plus the research and everything
They have a
else,
double barrel.
and then you just have like all these different avenues and eventually the catch. But it's like people with heart disease, you would think they would listen. And people without heart disease, unless you're showing them you're already at 20%.
Yeah.
So if you guys are interested in this, I think we could work together. The next stuff, you've got events going on. I'm going to come to the immersion thing. I think when I talk to your son, Rip, also, he's going to come to New York. You guys are going to New York soon to your farm?
Yeah.
June, July?
But I think there is a nucleus in patients who do have heart disease. See, almost everybody who has heart disease has a sword of Damocles hanging over their head. They wonder when I'm going to get the next heart attack. Almost, I would say 99% of the patients that come to see me, they call up. They don't call the Cleveland Clinic, they call to see Dr. Esselstyn. Nobody refers me a patient. The patients themselves prefer it. Why? Because there is a nucleus within thought within their head that I can do better. I read this guy's book and I want to find out more about what I can do. And then and that's why I think the luxury of what we can give to any heart patient that anyone else does not give. They get a 35 to 45 minutes, sometimes an hour private consultation with me, plus a 5-hour seminar where we go into this in even more detail so that they luxuriate in more knowledge about heart disease than they've ever had before.
But as we know, information does not change behavior. Information might stimulate more interest. That's the challenge. When you go from, if everybody out there in the world pretty much knows what they're supposed to be eating, but they don't.
But when we did the follow-up with that earlier group of 200 patients, 90% were following.
That's because they're sick. Those
Yeah.
are people. That's because they have no choice.
Oh,
Right?
no, you're right.
You're treating the cause. You're treating the cause. And they're the locus of control. Yes, I'm using all your words.
All right, Jake,
We good?
how are you going to change?
Are you good face now?
Hey, I'm gonna take action. You guys convinced me?
scared him so much. He's like, "What are you guys?"
Hey, yeah, no, this is good.
Yes, we're connect with you. Yes, we like to partner.
Yes, for
If
that
you're
my
considering
information.
contribution support.
Dan, do you want to trade
Yes.
your information and put your number in my phone?
Actually, our videographer, the guy that shoots all of Jane's,
Wade.
Wait,
yeah, you know Wade. So
John was here.
I'm so mad you didn't
Okay.
wait.
Well, he's running a marathon.
right, so Wade,
Wade gave his own.
Wade has great testimonial. You know, he had his numbers started creeping up, and he started listening to what he was filming.
He's about, you're
He's
powerful.
lost like 20 pounds. He's running back to running again.
Yeah, hopefully they don't have any cool events.
He learned it after what, 110 visits?
Yeah, but isn't it interesting again to that point of like he's heard all the information. He heard all the information, but until
Something
he realized that
happens to
he
you.
had to take, yeah, it was him.
Unless you had the indicator and it shows you 30%.
So it'd be amazing if you could figure out how to
If
do
you
that.
made the
technology.
information more accessible, the data, the angiograms, like you said back in, you said in your time, 1920, 30, what were the drugs they were taking?
Oh, Chalice and mercurochrome.
Where are they?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Angiograms are currently the standard of like looking like into the heart, but what if the new standard is my vein?
Right,
And now you're checking the percentage, and then after you see 10, 20%, then you go get a angiogram, and then you can use the data to say, look, well, my watch and my phone shows 40%. And like, well, I don't know if this is accurate. I'm like, it's accurate enough. Give me the angiogram. So I'm trying to empower people to prevent what happened to me, what happened to my mom, what happened to future people. And then more importantly, I think this is the second step, but like when I have kids, they're gonna have heart disease. Unless I go through mRNA genetic therapy clinical trial, which I am going through that also. So we will fix that tiny little defect. Another thing I want to have pass a bill in Congress, which I'm going to probably do eventually. But like when any human being is born in this country and you're a baby, you get blood test stuff, stick a Q-tip in your sheet, swab it, get a full genome sequencing, and then you know. By the way, probably in 30 years you're going to have a heart attack. Would have been nice if I had that. So that's a bill that I'm going to pass in Congress.
Well, that kid who just had the CRISPR to change the
CRISPR-Cas9.
yeah the 9-month-old got gene therapy to fix this.
See? So if I got the gene therapy, it's not happening.
Well, you don't want the gene therapy so that they can eat cheese and bacon.
No, we don't want that.
No.
This had something wrong with an allele or something.
Well, that's the Ozempic approach.
Huh.
You keep eating garbage, but I'm going to eat less of it, which I guess is good. But again, Novo Nordisk is just
So do
making
you
money
feel,
hand over fist.
do you feel sick with that?
But even worse than a heart attack would be a stroke.
Oh, yeah. Get those checked.
I'm gonna get the ultrasound check. What were you saying? Do I feel sympathy now? Or?
I was just reading, you're talking about the White House being, do you feel that they're open to this?
It's just one meeting. We just have to have one meeting with our. I think the way my mind operates, I'm like, I just have to talk to that one guy. I'm just gonna talk to the director. So a lot of people see these obstacles. And since I'm like being excellent at networking with the right people, it just doors open for me. I think my story and my personality opens doors. But yeah, I think I need a little bit more time to compact this stuff and edit it. And then when I'm ready to go, I'll tell RFK, and then we'll have a little talk on the news, 5 minutes maybe. I live a plant-based diet. I hold up your book, I'm like, this is what saved me. That's huge. That's big marketing. I'll get you that phone call, Bill Clinton.
But we'd love to need that the whoop.
We'll figure it out.
But ideally, to find somebody in the government who's plant-based, I don't think
Well,
Kennedy
Cory
is.
Booker, he's the only one.
Oh, of course.
Well, yeah.
The other couple
Or
of
people who had strokes and heart attacks, like Van Hollen, who I gave a talk in front of. He had a stroke. And I'm like, I had a heart attack. He's like, you? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, what do you need help with? I'm like, funding. Like, give me some money.
Didn't the guy
Do my
from Pennsylvania have a stroke?
Oh yeah, who's supposed to doing?
What's his name? Cumberland?
Fetterman?
He had a stroke, yeah.
So don't you think those are the good kind of targets to, that's when you have to really target. You said you're cold calling, and you should go after people who are like, I'm recovering. And since I'm in
I
DC,
think you waste your time if you go to Mehmet office.
Yeah.
He's a
everyone has got their stuff, but I think she's been so amazing. What do you guys think of this? So what did you guys think of the dinner? It was a nice dinner. Again, such an honor to sit down and have a beautiful dinner with Dr. Esselstyn and his family at his house in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm very honored that I was invited to the house, and it was really a great dinner. Anne actually gave me a sandwich to take to drive home, because I drove home that day from Cleveland, Ohio back to DC. About a 6-hour drive, totally worth it. But what'd you guys think of the dinner? I want to hear it in the comments below. Any interesting topics we covered you guys want us to expand on or go into more detail? We'd love your feedback. Keep watching and stay tuned for the next episode.